Hi guys, welcome to Finish Dessertsville YouTube channel. So today we are going to very quickly treat a topic or a situation that has always been occurring amongst bakers, and it is actually why your intended clients always promise to get back to you and they end up not getting back to you. This situation is always so annoying sometimes, I must tell you honestly, and discouraging and frustrating, especially for bakers that have experienced this from a particular client more than once. Like, these clients always come and tell you they will get back, they don't, and then they come back again and they tell you the same thing, not going ahead. So in as much as this can be very frustrating, I'd always urge bakers out there, even other vendors alike, service providers, to always take one or two steps back to rethink and reevaluate why clients tend to do that, especially when it's a recurrent situation. Now, I'm here to list out 5 likely reasons why your clients do this to you, and probably you can make some checks and some adjustments that can actually make your intended clients to become real actual clients. Number 1 reason why this can be so is if your pricing is not reasonable. In talking reasonable, I'm not telling you to charge ridiculously low. We all know that the market value has actually dropped, and we know that things have become overly expensive. But in as much as that is happening, we need to understand that this is a very competitive market. And for you to be able to stay aloof, you should be able to be, reasonable with your pricing. You can't charge overly too high. Now, this is what I do with my pricing, okay? Always make sure you draw out a price list. When you draw out a price list, it makes your clients know that yes, you have a structured price list. And this is what I do again underneath of my price list. I always put it as a point of note that we can always work with your budget, and you can always feel free to state your budget, and we'll let you know if it is a very, very sustainable or feasible budget to work with. When you do that, your clients are more comfortable around you to be able to tell you the actual cost that they had in mind. So if at all it's not even up to the budget that you have up in your price list, the fact that you have put that clause makes them a little bit more relaxed around you. Okay, so that is how it is with your pricing. You need to have a standard price list, and then you should be flexible with it, be able to give some perks here and there to make them want to come to you. Don't just be rigid. Now that takes us to the second point here. You have to be flexible to suggest cheaper deals. So in saying that, why they don't want to come back is probably you are not flexible with this. So now let me give you an instance here. If your price list starts at 20,000 for your list cake now, all right, as much as you have already added it as a clause for the number 1 point that you are able to work with their budget if it is realistic enough, you need to understand that I'm not telling you to go and slash your price into half because you want to make your clients come to you. By all means, that is where desperation comes in. You don't need to be desperate, you just need to be as professional as possible. Now what you can do is this: if your list cake costs 20,000 rather, and you've already added the clause here that they can suggest their budget, and your clients suggest you that their budget is 15,000, you don't necessarily have to agree immediately that okay, you can pay your 15,000. okay, you can break it in the mid, like you can break it halfway. You can say, okay, I can give you 2,000 naira discount. Okay, so we end with 18,000 naira. Is that fine by you? If they say no, it's not fine by them, you can tell them that okay, this is the best thing that I can offer you for 15,000. If for instance your 20,000 naira cake is 3 layers of cake with fillings, for instance, I'm just saying in the general context, you can tell them that if you want it to be 15,000 naira, we can either make your cake 3 layers without fillings. You've taken something out. It doesn't mean the quality of the cake itself is dropping, just that you have reduce the content of what is going into it, because all of those have to be factored in when you are pricing. You can say you are taking out the entire fillings, not like the sandwich cream, the fillings, because it's not all cakes that come with fillings anyway. So you can tell them that for them to take out that 5,000 naira discount, because you really want them to patronize you, you can take out the fillings and then they can retain having 3 layers of cake. Or you can tell them that you can make them a 2 layers of cake, but you would still retain the fillings. That way you're not shooting yourself in the leg. You are taking out 1 layer and retaining the fillings, or you are giving them the 3 layers and you are taking out the entire filling. So that way they know that you are flexible, and then they go back to weigh their options that, oh, okay, this person is actually really interested in sorting out this order for us, so let us work with the alternative offered to the budget we've suggested. You don't just tell your client, I'm sorry, it's below expectation, especially except for the few ones that, if for instance you said 20,000 naira is your cake price and you're asking for their budget, and then they tell you 10,000 or 5,000, you can be gracious enough to suggest other mini stuff like cupcakes, cake slices. I mean, always have something that you can always tell them to try out. Don't just tell them that, I'm sorry, probably next time is beyond your budget, is not feasible, I'm sorry, we can't take up your order. So that is already putting you in a bad light. So that goes to the first and second point. The first one is your pricing has to be reasonable. That is, if it is not reasonable, they wouldn't come back. If you're not flexible to suggest the cheaper deals, like I said, they wouldn't come back. Now, you have to be professional in your bargaining skills, okay? If you are not professional with your bargaining skills, trust me, they will not come back. You end up even irritating some intended clients. You want them to patronize you now. I'm really not a fan of you telling a client that, please help my business, help my life. If you do not patronize me, I will not eat today. If you do not patronize me today, my world is scattered. I know it's a strategy, but that actually oozes desperation, and it makes some clients look at you like, so if I don't patronize this person, does it mean that this person's product is not good enough? Does it mean this person doesn't even have enough clients for her to be frantically begging to be patronized? Rather, you tell them that this is my price list, this is the perks I can offer you, this is the discounts that can apply for your budget, and this is the option you can get for your budget. Would like you to patronize us, would like to be a part of your sweet tooth experience, and you leave them to take the decision by themselves, knowing that you've been gracious enough to give them discounts or to give them cheaper deals, or to be able to be flexible enough to offer them what can fit into their budget. Then you leave them to decide by themselves, and then you don't go back to them the following day and say, hello ma, you haven't gotten back to us, how far now, please patronize us now, help my life, help my business. It irritates some people, and even if they wanted to patronize you, that is actually a turn off, and they might not eventually patronize you because they might feel like your product is not even good. Why are you begging that desperately? So that takes us to the next point. All right, your follow-up has not, as in you mustn't be choking with your follow-up. I think that's why I said between 4 to 5 points. So the 3 and the 4 about the same thing. You mustn't have a choking follow-up, like I just said now before I mentioned number 4. You cannot be saying, please, today is another day, you told me your order is in 4 days time, please, are you going ahead? Please now do all of the professional aspects of your negotiations and leave them to decide by themselves. As long as you know that you have satisfied your conscience and you have explored all the professional measures to get them to come back, they will definitely come back. They will. But this now takes us to the number 5 point. Your customer service is poor. Now, there are some people that they reach out to and would not even respond to messages in a week. We are all very busy, and even me, I'm guilty of this sometimes, because network situation or network problems, or you just get busy and you just miss the message or something. That is why you need to have like an automated generated message for every time that a client reaches out to you. So for instance, if they tell you a hi, if it's a business line, it can be like, oh, hello, welcome to this, we specialize in this, or we offer these services, would like to be at your service, and we would come back to you as soon as we are back online, or something like that. So it makes them know that they didn't just send a message to a lost contact, or a contact that is not even sustainable or feasible or professional to attend to client. Some clients will just get irritated and not even go ahead with their inquiries. For those that go ahead with their inquiries, probably they now see that your prices are now high or not within their budget. They just go off like that. Do you understand? So make sure you have measures in place to attend to your clients even in your absence, and you need to state your hours of inquiries, so that if they reach out to you beyond your hours, even if you don't get a response, they know that it is not within your official timeline or your time frame, and they have to be understanding. And once you are open for inquiries, they will be one of the first people you attend to, because of course their messages will be there waiting to be attended to. So that is about being very professional with your customer service. Now, this is another thing you need to note. Some people have the perception that they are actually doing the clients the favor to patronize them, like to render the service to them. The reverse is usually the case, but I'm always very gracious to say that I'm doing my clients, I'm not doing my clients a favor by sorting their order. They are not doing me a favor by patronizing me. Yes, I said that. Okay, it's a mutual service. I'm rendering a service and they're paying for their services. So when we're able to understand that there are no favors in between the equation, we know how to attend to each other in the most best professional manner. You know that they are paying for a service, so you are obliged to make them pay for that service in the most professional way. And they are also obliged to respect you as your vendor or your client, because you are also providing a service. Okay, that is manpower, and they are paying, that is financial capacity. So you know that it's a give and a take situation. So clients should not take you for granted, and you as the baker or as the vendor in this context should not make a client feel like they can go to hell if they don't patronize you. It's a very bad attitude towards the growth of any business. Even if a client is very annoyed or anything, or is rude whilst making inquiries, you would just try the best you can to be polite. That is where that slogan comes, that the customer is always right. Yes, some clients tend to abuse this slogan, but yes, we need to develop a thick skin to be able to attend to some of these clients that always start off being like nasty clients, sometimes always end up being the long-lasting clients. And let me tell you one thing, let me close with this. I've said this before and I will say it again, that the first-time customer is not... Okay, that brings me to my very last point. Let me say it very quickly. The first customer isn't always the customer, because anybody can come and patronize you and go away. The person that comes back again is the one that is the actual client, because they tested your service and the taste and the product, and they're convinced that you're good enough to be patronized again. So that takes you back to that number one point, that even if you want to make your pricing very reasonable, which I said earlier, make sure that you are not the kind of baker that would say, okay, this person said I have 15,000 naira. Okay, let me just pick up that stale heavy cream in my pantry and use it to make the cake. After all, they didn't pay much. Let me just break 2 eggs and add water into the batter instead of 3 eggs. After all, they won't know. Yes, it might look like you are making profit and you are being the smart one on that first occasion, and you might end up getting them to patronize you, especially even if you say, oh, okay, my this cost is 20,000, and then they tell you that can I pay 10,000, you are very quick to say yes, please pay 10,000 naira, just because you're a first time client. And you know that it's not because you want to retain your quality, you want to reduce the quality. You know what you want to do, that you intend to reduce the quality of your regular standard, but you think they wouldn't know. Trust me, that client will come and patronize you because they will feel like, oh wow, this person is so gracious to give half of the price discount. But let me tell you something, it might be that one-off patronage, because most people know good quality, they know good product. So when they come that first time and they end up buying from you or patronizing you, as the case may be, I'm going to tell you for a fact that they might be very disappointed in your services or the quality that you have, forgetting that they were the ones who suggested you to get the half price, and you actually fell into their trap and took them as a client, and at the end of the day they will not come back to you. So at the end of the day, you haven't secured the client. You have only, so you are not better off than anybody that just walks into a store and picks a cake ready to go and never goes back there again. So make sure that in trying to hold up your customer to patronize you the first time, make sure you put in place every measure for them to have an amazing experience, for them to come back over and over again. So at this point, it's not only about them getting back to you. Make them want to get back to you, actually get back to you, and keep coming back again. Only then will you say for a fact that you have copped that particular individual as a client. So I think that's going to be all for today. I hope you learned one or two things. I hope that you're going to check yourself, observe, just check, really, to thyself be true. Check yourself and check any of these points, if there is any one of them that you have run short of, and just make some adjustments, and you see how you are going to be getting an influx of clients. Let me tell you something. Everybody is talking about business is not moving well. It's very true that business has suffered a little bit of a decline, but let me tell you, those that have clients on a steady still do have clients on a steady. Okay, so don't be deceived to thinking that it is everybody that is not having clients. So those that have their clients know how to hold them tight, maybe by the armpit, so they are not going anywhere. So for those that come to you, make sure you don't let them slip out of your hands. Okay, try the best you can to be as professional as possible, and trust me, you will see an improvement in all of those. I'll get back to you. They will actually ask you for your account details and pay, and you actually sort out their order. So till next time, guys, I remain your favorite girl, your favorite baker girl. If you learned something today, please feel free to give me a super thanks in the icon below. Really support your favorite girl, encourage me, and that's just what it is. Till next time, guys. Bye bye.